Hey everybody, David, Pose the Matrix. How the heck are you? It's dark out. Beginning darker out sooner and sooner. It looks like that's gonna be a thing from now on. Next month we get to turn our clocks, so we fall back. We get to turn them back an hour, and to gain an hour of sleep, theoretically anyway. But so it's 7 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, the 16th of October, 2025. Hi. Okay. Wow. Boy, this world's just spinning out of control, isn't it? It seems like the very fabric of American society is just kind of, ooh. Okay, it's a cricket. Hold on, folks. The very fabric of American society is just crumbling. And it's nothing Trump is doing. He's just when you have a bunch of when you have a disease out there, sometimes you have to treat it. And sometimes, let's just say a wound. Somebody comes into an emergency room with a wound. What you do is you got to debride it. You got to clean that sucker, and that's painful. That hurts a lot. So you try to inject them around with some lidocaine around the whole wound, so that it won't hurt too bad. And then you go after it. And so that's what we're going through right now. Scripture calls these times birth pangs. We're getting close to the return of Yeshua, which is going to be awesome as far in my estimation anyway. And I frankly can't wait. So we'll get rid of this whole matrix, folks. Man, wouldn't it be nice? And then 1,000 years later, with the new heaven and the new earth, we get rid of a lot more stuff too. Nothing bad will ever happen again after that 1,000 years. Toward the end of the 1,000 years, Satan is loose but for a short while, it says in Scripture, and he gathers a group unto himself, and they cause havoc. But it doesn't last very long because Yeshua is on earth. He's just gonna, he's gonna let him make a fool out of himself, and then he's gonna put an end to it. So, and then the new heaven and the new earth, and boy, I'll tell you, I can't wait. I told you that already, didn't I? All right. The show that I've prepared for tonight, folks, is so big that I think we might be splitting it into 2 nights. So that'd be tonight and next Tuesday, okay? And I just, I've been working on it. And every time I think I'm done, I think of something else to put in there. That's a bad thing that I do. Not necessarily, but you know what I mean. I can never finish. I can never get enough in there. But, time constraints. So when time's up, I have nothing else I could put in there. So, anyway, it should be pretty interesting. To say the least, I would say. So, a second. I want to move up to the top here. This is a long document. All right. I don't want to scare you or anything. It's going to be really good. It's a lot of good stuff we're going to be looking at. But we're going to be looking at cracks in the code, of course, meaning the Matrix code. And I've been really getting off on doing these Matrix shows. I don't know about you, if you really enjoy listening to them or or what, but preparing for them, I'm learning a lot. I thought I knew a lot, but I'm learning even more. So this is a good thing, Okay. So we're gonna try to describe waking up. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. Okay. And I didn't put it here, but I'm going to do it myself here. I usually write these things out so I have a memory, but I do have a memory of this. So here you go. You let's just say you had a whole night's sleep. Do people do that anymore? I don't. Anyway, let's just say you sleep for 8 hours and you dreamed for 7 hours and 59 minutes during that time you were asleep. The most dreams you've ever had in your entire life. You loved it. You didn't even want to wake up because the last dream never finished and you wanted to go back to sleep, but you had to get up. Okay? Whoa. That wasn't too good. Hold on, folks. That was one of those oopsie things that you do and you don't want to do. Okay. I can still talk while I'm doing this. Anyway, so you wake up at this time and you were dreaming so much and enjoying the dream so much that you're disoriented. You ever woken up disoriented? I have several times, just this year actually. But and it takes you a minute to kind of. You have to sit up for a little while. Then after that short while, you finally realize that hey, you're awake. You're not going to go back to sleep, so you might as well face the facts and get ready to get up. But things are different when you get up this time. Really different. Again, you're in a daze, still half asleep. That's the term we used to use when I was a kid. By the way, if you're on Rumble, you can get into the chat room. I meant to tell you that. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do me a favor and just, I don't ask for much, just click the thumbs up button and subscribe. Okay, that would be awesome. And then you'll know everywhere, and hit the black button up at the top to where you'll get everything that's coming from me, which isn't a lot. Okay, in the way of info. Okay, so anyway, getting back to the sleep or the dream, and then so you're finally waking up. You rub your eyes a few times, and reality strikes, and you're back in the world again. Dreamland, you say bye-bye to Dreamland. It was really nice, and well, hopefully, I haven't had nightmares in years. Hopefully I never will again, but most of the time my dreams are okay. So if I wake up from nice dreams, I kind of revel in them, It's a few years ago I used to have a lot of prophetic dreams and visions and stuff like that, and sometimes they were okay, but they... when you watch bad things happen all the time, it's difficult. But I think that's why Yahweh picked me, because frankly, Charlotte, I don't give a darn with a lot of this stuff. I mean, I care, but anyway, I don't want to go down rabbit holes. Okay, so when you're waking up, let's say you just go outside, and things are strange now. Yes, you're awake, and you've come to reality that you're awake, and you decide to step outside. Maybe you have a little breakfast nook outside, and you go out there with your newspaper. Does anybody read newspapers anymore? Well, let's say you go out there with your iPhone or your Android phone, and you try to catch up on the news and drink your coffee, and maybe have a little bit of breakfast. But when you're looking around, you see people acting strange. You see them acting robotic. In the paper or online, you're reading news stories that contradict themselves almost all the time. And when you look up, the skies they just don't look right, So here's the question: are we witnessing these days the unraveling of reality, or the revelation of the truth, or both? Okay. When I speak about reality, I mean what we're used to because of the Matrix. Okay. And it's a process that has to happen. It has to unravel. And if you're new to this whole thing about the Matrix and learning about it and stuff, it will unravel. You start realizing that you've been lied to most of your life, and that things aren't really as they seem, and that you start realizing that this reality, although it is very convincing, and it is a reality, okay, but it's nothing like the real reality that's on the other side, okay. The way the earth would have been had Adam and Chava not decided to rebel against Yahweh and eat the fruit at the behest of Lucifer, Hallel, or the Nachash is the better way to put it. You probably haven't heard that term very much aside from this show. Maybe you've heard it. Mike Kaiser used to use it a lot. Nachash is the Hebrew word for the creature that was in the in or on the tree or in front of the tree, wherever he was. And he was not a snake, okay? Nakash means a upright, shining creature, okay? Kind of a bronze color. And I always say this, that if you've ever melted metal and you melt brass or bronze, it is one of the most beautiful colors when it's melted and it's pooling, and it's down at the bottom. You look down at the crucible, and you swear that you could just dive in there, which would be suicide, of course. But it's such a beautiful color; it's alluring. So, all right. So and then maybe that's what got to Eve, or Chava, you know? She saw not only this creature, but she saw that he was alluring. And then when he spoke with her, you know, she was probably bedazzled. I don't know if that's a good word to use. Anyway, so, and then after that, they disobeyed and they were kicked out of the garden and had to live in different circumstances in what we call the Matrix today. And it's also known as the fallen state. The fallen of the creation, the fall of man. Fall meaning that we were once glorified along with God, and now we weren't anymore. We were on our own because one of the promises that the evil one had given Eve and or Chava and Adam was that they would be like God. So basically, that's the old lie that has persisted for the last 5,000 or 6,000 years. That if we try another way than Yahweh's way, we can attain what He has, which is really so stupid. How can you become a god, especially with Nachash and his Hebrew name for Lucifer? Lucifer is not really a name that's used very much. It started to be used because of Catholicism. That was the Roman word for this creature, but Nachash or Halal was the Hebrew equivalent of Lucifer. Anyway, so at the behest of him, the suggestion and everything else that he made, that's why we're in this matrix. Yeah, I see I stamp my feet and I talk about the matrix. Maybe because I'm stamping the devil under my feet. I don't want to say that too lightly, though, because I don't want to get into that. Anyway, let's see here. Have you ever heard of a guy named Plato? He was a philosopher, a Greek philosopher, way back when, and quite a good philosopher. He did a work called Plato's Republic, and basically Plato's Republic told it like it was when it comes to government and everything. And if you're of a certain persuasion, you're not going to like his work. If you're of the other one, the opposite, you're going to love his work, okay? And I'm not going to tell you what his work was for the most part, because that's something that you should go out and check out. Man, the guy's amazing. He really was. And all those guys, him and Aristotle and all the others, that seem to be related in one way or another. And some of the works he did was amazing. All right, so I'm going to read to you something, or a definition of Plato's allegory of the cave. Now, I want you to see if there's what I'm talking about, what I'm reading, if it has a modern name, okay? Or a modern definition, I should say. All right. Here we go. Plato's allegory of the cave is an allegory presented by the Greek philosopher Plato in his work Republic. Let's see. And that's in book 7, excuse me. Now, to compare the effect of education and the lack of it on our nature. Okay. It is written in a dialogue between Plato's brother Glaucon and his mentor Socrates. See, they were all mixed together. And is narrated by the latter, so narrated by Socrates. The allegory is presented after the analogy of the sun. It was another work of his, and the analogy of the divided line, which was yet another allegory of his. Let's see. In this allegory, however, Plato describes people who have spent their entire lives chained by their necks and ankles in front of an inner wall with a view of the empty outer wall of the cave. They observed shadows projected onto the outer wall by objects carried behind the inner wall by people who are invisible to the chained prisoners, and who walk along the inner wall. Excuse me. Inner wall with a fire behind them. Excuse me, I gotta. Okay, that's better. Okay. let's see. The fire behind them, creating shadows on the inner wall in front of the prisoners. I hope you can picture this. I can in my mind. It's, but I don't know. I'm weird in some aspects, I guess. The sign bearers pronounce the names of the objects, the sounds of which are reflected near the shadows and are understood by the prisoners as if they were coming from the shadows themselves. Okay, it's where it gets really juicy here. Only the shadows and sounds are the prisoners' reality, which are not accurate representations of the real world. The shadows represent distorted and blurred copies of reality we can perceive through our senses, while the objects under the sun represent the true forms of objects that we can only perceive through reason. Excuse me. The higher levels exist, like natural science, deductive mathematics, geometry and logic, and the theory of forms. Socrates explains how the philosopher is like a prisoner freed from the cave and comes to understand that the shadows on the wall are not the direct source of the images seen. A philosopher aims to answer and perceive the higher ends or higher levels of reality. However, the other inmates of the cave do not even desire to leave their prison, for they know no better life. That's I got that from Wikipedia, and there's a source there, and if anybody wants it, I can give it to them. I will do it freely per the rules and regulations of YouTube and also Facebook. Okay, so what do we get out of that? I get the Matrix out of that. We have people, you and I know that we live in a matrix, but there's a lot of people that don't know it. Hopefully after they watch this show, they'll realize it. But, so we live in this matrix. We know about it. They don't. And they don't want to know about it because they're not comfortable with it. They're comfortable in living in this matrix. Remember in the movie The Matrix, when the hero character is presented with two pills, a blue pill and a red pill, and Morpheus says to, was it Nee? Or I can't remember his name. Okay, I have two pills here. Now, if you take the red pill, you're going to go into the Matrix, and I'm going to ad-lib here. You're going to see what makes the Matrix work, what it is exactly, and if you survive, you will no doubtedly have a vast knowledge of the Matrix. What he doesn't tell our hero is that he's going to have to fight basically a war, and that he is akin to, and later we find out he is the promised messianic figure of the movie. So that's what you get if you take the red pill. If you take the blue pill, you just fall asleep, and then you wake up in the morning and you're like the people in the cave. You don't know anything else. You don't recognize anything else, and you're very comfortable in the chains that you're in. Okay. Now let's tie this to Scripture. Okay. I like to do that, and I hope that doesn't bother you. And if it does, well, we'll pray together, and maybe we can see if Yahweh can open up your mind more to some of the truths of and the absolute truths of Yahweh and His ways and His kingdom and this world and the Matrix. Okay. So, in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4, it says, "But if our gospel is hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them." Okay. I think the blinding there is, yes, it comes from God. He blinds them, but at the same time, they desire to be blinded to this. They don't want to have anything to do with it. They're like the blue pill people. They just leave me alone. I just want to live my life and not be bothered. Okay. And of course, if we go to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, we find out who we're fighting and what we're fighting and what we're fighting against, and we realize that the carnal weapons that we have, whatever those be, guns, knives, axes, broad axes, if you want to go back in time, they're not effective against the enemies that we fight. I mean, against the very highest of enemies, because they're spiritual and they're not physical. They're not corporeal. And we're told by Paul in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, and you're going to hear this a lot from me. I read this scripture a lot, okay? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, okay? All those things are spiritual entities, okay? But there are physical entities. I mean, we know them by different names, the Illuminati, the elite, and things like that. And those people answer to these beings and do their bidding. And they're rewarded quite well for it. You're talking about the Rockefellers and the Soroses and all the others. How can I forget the Rothschilds and all those families who are the strength of the evil in this world, and representations of these beings that are invisible yet very powerful. So now we're exploring whether the strange phenomena seen today are glitches in the digital or spiritual simulation, or warnings that this world is not what it seems. And you would get that from glitches, right? I'm trying to think. If you're watching a movie and there was a mistake on the movie, well, you might figure, well, the guy that was filming it was tired, or when he was filming that day, or the producer or director were asleep and they didn't catch that particular mistake. And that mistake belies the truth that somebody in a higher calling of the making of that movie didn't do their job. Okay, so when we see these things happening in the Matrix, these glitches, they're so well titled. And we know that like it says here, they're either a digital or a spiritual simulation, or they're a warning to tell us that what we see isn't necessarily what is, okay? And Scripture says, in one place, I can't remember where right now, but that the spiritual realm is the higher realm, and that the physical realm is just a passing fancy, so to speak. It's here today. It'll be gone, in a few years from now. Well, actually, after the return of Yeshua, it'll be gone after 1,000 years after his return. And then things will get really good. But when he comes back, he's going to try to make the world like it was in the Garden of Eden, and I think that it's going to be a very nice place to live. Okay. So I don't see why both of these things, the simulation thing and or the warning of this thing not being what it seems, I think they both might be plausible at the same time. And the question that needs to be answered is, are the glitches just random events, or are they deliberately inserted into the Matrix? Okay. Now, I tend to believe that if Yahweh is in charge of things, that since he's in charge of things, that there's not going to be any accidental filming, should we say, or accidental production within the Matrix. I think it's going to be perfect, and I'll explain that here in a minute. Well, in either case, we have to admit that the glitches and or simulations that are in the Matrix have to have an author. Okay, the Matrix doesn't happen. Okay, and we know why it happened. It was a result of rebellion and disobedience, and we know that Yahweh is the one that has created it, and He had to, because the world before Adam and Chava had eaten the fruit was more or less perfect. It was a very, very wonderful place. The Garden of Eden was, and free of sin. Okay, but after the act of sin was brought into this world, it no longer could remain in a sinless atmosphere. So it had to, the ones that broke the rules had to be placed outside, so they didn't contaminate, for lack of better words, the perfection that they had once lived in. So we all know that author is Yahweh, who resides outside of time and space, and who has always existed and will exist forever. Okay, it's a hard concept to understand, but we'll try to get through it with understanding tonight. And although it's really difficult, and if you find your brain starting to shut off, then just turn around for a minute, or take your earphones off, or turn the sound down just for maybe a second or two, so you can kind of be shocked back into no shock bit, but you can go back to what we were before I started talking about this stuff. Okay, let's see. Now, his eternal status allows him to see the end of the matrix from the beginning, and the beginning from the end. Nothing could ever take him by surprise, of course, because everything that could happen has happened before it happened. Does that make sense to you? Let's see, I know it sounds confusing, but eternity is never an easy topic to comprehend. But if you can just grasp a little bit of the notion that figure this matrix, this existence that we're living right now, linear time and space, as it being encapsulated speck in a sea of it's hard to explain. In a sea of outside time and space, outside the universe, in the realm that Yahweh inhabits, or fills, I should say. And so, being that he's before, at the beginning of it, and at the end of it, above it, below it, inside of it, outside of it, every direction that you could see or think of, around or emanating from or to this matrix, he's able to see, and he can see it all at the same time, and he's not constrained by time. So we can't comprehend this, but he can see everything that's happened, past, present, and future, at the same time, and which is amazing. But it allows him to be able to conceive of the matrix, because he had to conceive of it before he had to use it, right? And he knew that he was going to have to use it, because he knew he was down at this end watching the history of mankind. So he's down here knowing what's going to happen, but he's over here preparing for it to happen, and he's writing it. He says several times in Scripture that certain people were predestined, and that they were conceived before time was, before the establishment of time and space. And I think that's all of us, actually. He knew us all before anything was created whatsoever. And that should make you feel special, because you are special. And that's why Yahweh, or Yeshua, wanted to come to earth and die for us, because he knew that that we were made in the image of Yahweh, and that because of that, there has to be some kind of act of forgiveness or act of love that would bring us back into the right fold, or turn us around to the right direction, actually. And in the time of the Torah and the Tanakh, that was the law. Okay, and the law just covered sins; it didn't wash them away. Yeshua came and died on the cross, and his blood washes away our sin. It's not there anymore, and it never will be anymore, because of what he did on the cross at Calvary. All right. So let's the simulation theory and ancient parallels. Let's look at that, okay? The science side. Now, Elon Musk's famous statement he made not too long ago regarding the Matrix, he said there is a billion There is 1 in a billion chance that this is base reality. In other words, that the Matrix is what was intended, what Yahweh intended it to be, and that there was nothing before it. He doesn't obviously have a personal relationship with Yahweh, but he knows enough to be able to make kind of a lucid statement like he did here. And we've got to pray for Elon because he needs Yahweh really bad. Now, quantum physicists observing something called the wave-particle duality reality only solidifies when it's observed, which is kind of interesting because you ever heard the saying, if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody there to hear it, does it really make any noise? Well, yes, we know it does, but again, there's nobody there to hear it. So was the noise really necessary? Well, yeah, it was, because when those things happen, noise happens. But it wasn't done to warn anybody or to impress any physical being that the noise that's made from the tree falling is a warning, basically. So reality, or our reality that we live in right now, this matrix reality, we got to ask the question: is it there when we don't see it? In other words, when we're asleep, is the matrix still here? Of course it is. Okay, but we are not conscious of it until we come back into consciousness from sleep or whatever, or if we had a surgery and we were knocked out or whatever. And then we're introduced to the matrix all over again, and it becomes a reality to us. So, in a sense, it's a reality more than when it's seen than when it's not. Technically, it's here all the time, but to the observer, if whether it's sleep or a coma or something else, we don't even concern ourselves during those times to know if yes or no that the matrix is here. We just assume that it is, just like we assume that the sun's going to come up every morning, it's going to set every night, and the same with the moon. It's going to come up at a time and set. And so I think a lot of even people that don't have faith because they know through their faith and through personal experience during a lifetime that the matrix is here, even when we're asleep and we can't observe it. We have that kind of faith that when we wake up, it'll be back again. Okay, so boy, I didn't think I was going to be able to get through that to explain that. It's really difficult to explain. Okay, in addition, the dream state seems to be an escape from the matrix. Everybody raise your hand if you think that's true. I do. Also, compounds called hallucinogenics affect what we have in our head is called the pineal gland, and pineal is Latin for it means pine cone, because the pineal gland looks just like a pine cone, and but much smaller, of course. And it's the if there's a gland that can affect us to bring us into more of a spiritual state, that's it. Okay, and it responds to different hallucinogens. The body even creates one. It's called DMT, and don't ask me what that means. It's you can find that out yourself. It's a really long scientific chemical name, and I didn't put it down, and I didn't think I was going to need to use it. But anyway, so this thing gets affected by DMT or LSD or mescaline, or you name your hallucinogen, and you go places and see things. And I do believe that Yahweh put that in our bodies so that when he wants to speak to us, he can speak to us in prophetic dreams or just in regular dreams. I don't know if regular dreams are controlled by it, but if they are, then that's why it's there. But things like when Isaiah was called to heaven. Now, was he there bodily or was it a vision? I don't know. But if it was a vision, then the Yahweh activated his pineal gland so that he could he could see and understand where he was, that he was in the throne room of Yahweh and not in his house anymore. So Yahweh uses it to bring us to such states where we can see, hear, smell, taste the kingdom of Yahweh. And thank you, Yahweh, for giving that to us, by the way. So, like I said, it helps to cause a dream state. Now, there's a really good book out there if you want to learn more about DMT, and it'll tell you what it means, what the name, the designation DMT actually means. And the author is a researcher and a psychologist or psychiatrist, I can't remember. His name is David Strassman. Isn't it funny how Davids are so awesome that they, most of the researchers and stuff, the good ones are named David. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about me. Yeah, maybe I am. Anyway, really, I'm humble. Okay, I just like messing around. All right. So this book, it's called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. And what they did in this laboratory, in this research, he had actually gotten permission by the Food and Drug Administration to conduct experiments by injecting people with DMT. Now, in its regular form that people take it, they usually it's usually eaten, but it's eaten with another. I can't remember the name of it. There's another plant that it's eaten with that kind of helps it along, helps it to be digested, and helps it to spread the DMT more effectively. Okay, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, but I guess I'm not that awesome after all. But anyway, he gained permission from the Food and Drug Administration or whatever. There's another one I can't remember right now. To actually inject people with this and see the effects, record the effects. How much they got, how long it took for the compound to take effect. What they saw. What they saw, folks. In many of the cases, they saw aliens. They saw little gray aliens. They saw reptilians. They saw aliens that look like insects, which we know to be, we call them insectoids. And they saw the fair blonde Pleiadians that we tend to call the Nordics. Okay, and they saw a lot of other things too, but they encountered those beings in a hallucinogenic state because of the DMT. And I always found that to be interesting because I know that those creatures are the ones that they're fallen entities. They're actually fallen angels, and they inhabit the area or the area of time and space. I don't know if that's right. Where these where they're supposed to be. It's a spiritual realm, and so when they take the DMT or given the DMT, they go to the spiritual realm and they see these creatures. These fallen angels who often dupe people into thinking that they're real aliens. And it's the same garbage that's happened since pre-flood times all the way to today. And it's a shame that people don't learn that these things have been a problem all that time, and they still are. And that they want to get to know you much better so that they can deceive you and just make your life miserable and keep you separated from Yahweh. So, all right. So anyway, the Spirit Molecule, DMT, the Spirit Molecule by David Strassman. It's not a bad read. It's pretty easy actually, and so I would highly recommend getting it. It'll help to understand help you to understand what the pineal gland is. Or some people pronounce pineal, and how it affects humans, and both when they're awake and in dream state. So, let's see. The pineal gland has been known as the gland that can allow mankind to see the spiritual realm. I think I said that already. Let's see. So anyway, there's another analogy out there called the cosmic code analogy. Stating that the universe is built on mathematical precision like a computer code, which, hey, mathematics is such an awesome field of study. It's in everything. everything. It's I can't. I'm so excited about talking about mathematics because well, I'll get to it in a few minutes, but there are ways that it's used to illustrate the splendor and glory of Yahweh. Numbers are simple little numbers. Are used by Yahweh to expound upon how awesome that He really is. All right. So this fits the matrix etymology perfectly. Mathematics would have to be applied to make a code like the matrix. Okay, that's what he said. Common computer code is a series of ones and zeros. I don't know if it's evolved into other things yet, but that was the basis of it. In addition to the property of time, is a set of numbers, and it's interlocked into the nuclear model of things. Numbers denote motion. Okay, when you think about numbers, you think about motion. At least I do. I hope you do too. And motion denotes numbers. Okay, so this works to confirm this, and then this works to confirm this. It's a perfect thing. This causes the analogy to fit into the quantum physics observation of wave-particle duality, because the process of solidification demands time. Everything that happens demands time. Okay, it's there's nothing in this creation that you can possibly do and not involve time in that equation, so to speak. Let's see. Okay. Solidification of time. Let's see. The nuclear process, let's say the rotation of electrons around the nucleus. You've all seen that, right? You have the electrons that go around the nucleus and the protons that are on the nucleus and the neutrons and everything else. And it sounds like three groups of people, huh? The neutrons are fighting the electrons. And it's interesting. The electrons are they're negative, and the nucleus is positive. So, by all rights, the electrons, since opposites attract, should go crashing into the nucleus, but they don't, and that's because Yahweh holds everything together. And you'll get some people that'll give you scientific notions and stuff to prove why that happens, but when push comes to shove, and when you examine all the brass tacks, it's Yahweh that holds it all together. Let's see. All these things fit together in what we know is known as the matrix. Finally, this causes us to wonder about Earth. Before the matrix was established. Now, did time exist before the fall of mankind? Let's see. Did time exist before the matrix? At least time as we know it in the matrix as we currently know time. One indication time did exist is found in the fact that Yahweh used to meet with Adam and Chava in the cool of the day. So if there was a cool of the day, there had to be a hot of the day, right? And if that's true, then the temperature on Earth or in that specific area varied due to what would be the rotation of the Earth. Let's see. All right, bear with me here. I gotta move down. It's okay. So this denotes that there were temperature variances, most likely caused by a rotating Earth, which demands that time be a present factor. Yeah, you can't have a rotation without time, and you can't have time without a rotation, right? Or whatever else you're talking about. Let's see. In addition, we are told in a creation event that Yahweh made the sun, the moon, and the stars as indicators of times and seasons. And he clearly made those things so that there would be sun up and sun down, moonrise, moonset, and all the other things that happened with the heavenly bodies happen because time permits them to happen, and also that Yahweh created them to happen. And He created time too, so it all works out together really good. Now, the holographic principle states that our 3D world might be a projection from a 2D data on the universe's edge. Oh boy, is that confusing or what? It took me quite a while when I read that to get it down pat. This holographic principle is real. Serious idea. It's a serious idea in modern physics that originated from black hole thermodynamics and string theory. It says in essence, and here's the definition. Okay, it's a very long definition, so I hope you've got your popcorn and your Coke or whatever you drink and eat while you're listening to the show. Okay, all information that exists within the 3D space, including matter, energy, even time, can be fully described by information encoded on a two-dimensional surface that surrounds it. In other words, our entire three-dimensional universe might be a kind of holographic projection, like the depth you see in a hologram printed on a flat card. Have you ever seen that? And you turn it certain ways, and it looks like it's got depth to it. The depth isn't real, nor is it on the card. In a traditional sense, it's encoded light patterns giving the appearance of reality. Okay, so in the matrix context, if we live in a simulated or coded reality, the holographic principle fits perfectly. It suggests that we experience as reality solid matter, motion, and physical form. It is the rendered output, what was that word? Or keeper information stored elsewhere. Boy, I spelled that word wrong. Okay, this parallels how in a computer game, the 3D world you explore is just a visual projection of data encoded on a 2D hard drive or server. So in matrix terms, the 3D world equals the holographic projection. The 2D, two-dimensional cosmic boundary equals the divine source code, the information field of creation. The programmer is Yahweh, or God. We are the avatars with divine consciousness and experiencing the code directly. Now, biblical and spiritual parallels. Let's look at that. The Bible actually resonates strongly with this holographic model. And let's look and see how that happens. Let's look at Hebrews 11:3. And all the scriptures I'm going to read tonight are short, okay? There's no... Well, there might be one that's a little longer if I remember correctly. But anyway, I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm just saying, warning you that there might be a long one, but I don't think there is. Okay, so Hebrews 11:3 says, "By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what we see, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible." Right? So it's the spiritual realm that was used to create the physical realm. And that places it higher than the physical realm. It's higher than the matrix. And that's why the matrix is going to be done away with someday. And all it's going to be is the spiritual. And I can't wait for that to happen. Okay, that's the holographic principle in ancient language. Let's see, the visible, or our world, comes... okay, how'd that happen? Okay. That's the holographic principle in ancient language. The visible, our world, comes. I didn't finish that sentence. I'm sorry. The physics meets the faith. Oh, okay. The visible, our world, comes. Then the physics meets the faith. Scientific view, spiritual parallels. Let's look at that. Okay, universe. The universe is a 3D projection from a 2D boundary. That's what we heard before. Physical world is a projection from the spiritual realm. Information field encodes reality. The word of God sustains all creation. Okay, I said it before that everything is held together through Yeshua. And what's another name for Yeshua? You remember in John chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning, and all things that were created by and through Him. Okay? I'm surprised they didn't use that in this synopsis here. Um, let's see. Observers collapse waveforms into particles. Faith and consciousness collapse unseen promises into reality. Entanglement connects distant particles. Prayer and spirit connect across dimensions instantly. Isn't that something? Entanglement is a physics term for the fact that there could be two particles, each one of them could be on one side of the universe and the other one's on the other side. And the minute that this one feels something, this one feels it too. It's instantaneous, and it's not bound by time and space, and it's not bound by distance or speed or anything else. It's quite phenomenal. And here in earthly terms, you can kind of see it in the case of identical twins or identical triplets. They can be separated at birth. When they come together 20 years, 30 years later, find out that they all picked the same profession. They all dress the same. They all wear their hair the same. You name it. They're still identical twins, and it's kind of freaky actually. But what happens with them many times is that let's say twin A breaks his arm or gets in an accident. That's even better. Twin B will know that there's something wrong with twin A. Instinctive. A lot of people call it instinct, but yeah, he'll always know, or she'll always know what's going on. If it's especially if it's serious or life-threatening, they will know. And it's just the way that Yahweh made them. The way He's built twins. I think it's phenomenal, actually. But I'm assuming that there are times when it's not so nice to have, like when really bad things happen. But it's good to know that your twin is going through something. That way you can call them up and find out how everything is and everything, if you know where they are and stuff. Anyway, prayer and spirit. When we pray to Yahweh, it's instantaneous too, and that's what we're getting at parallels here. Our prayer and praying in the spirit connects us instantly to Yahweh. Connects across dimensions instantly, so to speak. So in this model, we are living inside a divine holographic matrix, an intentional simulation that allows souls to grow, learn, and to awaken. Okay? What a God we serve, huh? When people sense that this isn't quite real, there's something wrong, this isn't quite real, they're picking up on the truth that the physical realm is only a layer of much larger reality, so to speak. And it is a very small, thin layer of reality compared to everything that's above and below and around it and everything else. Again, remember, this is just a very small area and a very large and infinite space that's inhabited by Yahweh and His angels. Hold on a second. Sometimes I get very interesting things on my phone. I like to share it, or my watch. Okay. Now the prophetic edge. If this holographic reality begins to glitch, when we see anomalies, time distortions, and physical laws bending, it could be several things. It could be the veil thinning between the hologram and the source. The simulation breaking down as divine truth overrides corrupted code. Ooh, that's good. I like that. There are some who might surmise that the end of the original matrix will cause Yahweh to make a new holographic template, but that can't happen, and there's obvious reasons why. Okay, I think we're so used to living in a matrix that we think another one has to replace the one that's corrupted and everything, and that's not true. I'm not so sure that. Let's just put it this way: I don't believe that the time when Adam and Chava were living in the Garden of Eden, I don't think that was subject to time and space. Okay, I think that was a more of a spiritual dwelling, a spiritual reality that got crushed when they blew it. But yeah, and that's basically what we're going to be placed back into. But not another matrix, not another hologram. Let's see. We're going to be in reality for a change. There's okay. Let's see. Okay. Now, what are those reasons? Aside from a few theophanies with Yeshua appearing pre-incarnate, there has never been a mention of God, the Father, entering into the matrix. Okay. Probably because of his holiness not allowing him to abide in a sin-ridden matrix. Plus, he's spirit, so he's in the spiritual realm. And how does, without becoming something of flesh like Yeshua did, or like the angels have bodies, I don't know. I don't know if he's precluded, and if he is, he's written this into his own code or his own life and everything else. But I don't think he's able to come into this matrix, and because he really can't do sin. You know, he can't even be around it. He can't look at it. That's why when Yeshua took on all of our sin, he cried out, my Father, why have you forsaken me?" Because God couldn't look on him. Yahweh couldn't. The Father couldn't look on the Son when he took on all the sin. So, all right. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We are led to believe that Earth will be free of the matrix, or a matrix of any kind, actually, just like it was before the fall of mankind. We're told at the end of the book of Revelation, one telling event that will start with the new heaven and the new earth, something that has never been before. Okay, let's see. And this is in Revelation 21:3. "And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself, the Father himself, shall be with them and be their God." That's in Revelation 21:3. The word for God in this passage in the Greek is theos, and it denotes not just God. I mean, it has a lot of meanings, okay? But in this vernacular, the way things are being described here, it doesn't mean the lesser forms of God or things like that, but it means theos. It denotes not just God, but a God of exceedingly more power and might. It denotes the head of the Godhead. In Hebrew, it would be El Shaddai, that is Almighty God, what Christians call the Father. Okay? All right. And Scripture parallels, let's see. Genesis 1. Let's see what time is it. Okay, it's almost an hour we've been on. Okay. God says, and it was. God said, and it was. The word logos is the command code of creation. Okay, logos. Okay, all right. Now, John 1, verses 1 through 3. Through him all things were made. I said that before, remember? And Hebrews 11:3, it says, "What is seen was not made out of what was visible." Pretty well wraps it up, doesn't it? So, let's see, implications. The ancients describe reality as spoken into being. Physicists now describe it as rendered from information. Same concept, but different language. Same gift, but different packaging. Which seems to happen a lot in the Matrix. Okay, we're moving into something called segment 2 now. We're going to look at glitches in the Matrix, strange phenomena. And I got some videos I want us to watch. Some of them are hilarious. Let's see. So real world anomalies. Massive bird deaths, animal migrations off course, double suns. I don't know if you've ever seen that, or halo effects. Next bullet point would be Mandela-Effect, collected false memories. And then we have some of the more notable ones: Berenstain versus Berenstein bears, and Shazam was another one. Let's see. And then we have time skips, people reporting hours missing or repeating sequences of events. And lastly, the modern footage of aircraft freezing midair or clouds moving like digital textures. That's a bizarre one. Okay. So tech parallels, AI deepfakes, simulation errors in virtual reality, render lag, psychological resonance with the real world glitches. Okay. So there are AI deepfakes. Okay, and there are simulation errors. That's what we call the glitches in virtual reality. Okay. Now let's look at it through a prophetic lens. Okay. Look at Daniel 7, verse 25, talking about the Antichrist or Anti-Mashiach, Messiah. It says, he will seek to change times and laws. Could this reflect a manipulation of reality parameters? Is he going to try to tweak the matrix? Or do something like that so that he can have the advantage over his enemies? Remember, this guy he's not a good guy. He's a very evil individual. Probably, I would say, the personification of evil. And then when he becomes possessed by his father, which is Satan, it's not going to be pretty here on earth. And let's look at Amos 8, verse 11. It says, famine of truth, data corruption in the matrix of human understanding. Famine of truth basically meaning that where truth comes along, there's nothing to eat. There's none of it to consume, to grow in our knowledge. It's a famine, basically. All right, let's see. That's this segment, another segment here, that the AI-Overlord theory, machine minds and fallen intelligences. All right, so the rise of synthetic consciousness. Ooh. Okay, GPTs, you've heard of ChatGPT. Neural networks and autonomous code evolving beyond control. Boy, isn't that the truth. They say that not every even week now, every day, the technological things that we're talking about here, they evolve every day. Not every week, not every month, but every day, which is really spooky because after that comes, every hour? It's growing exponentially, and it's scary. It really is. Had it not been for Yeshua and knowing him and his that he promises to that no weapon formed against us will prosper, I would be freaked out if that weren't the truth, but. It is, so I just take it in stride. Anyway, let's see. This has been a concern ever since before the implementation of the Matrix. Imagine it being, oh yeah. Back in the 70s, there was a movie called The Demon Seed, okay? And I hope this doesn't sound too risque or anything, but I have to describe the movie to let you know what was happening and what the premise of it was. So in the movie, there's a computer that desires to have a body. It has the intelligence, but it doesn't have physical form, and that's what it wants. So there's this scientist, a computer scientist, that is working for the government. He's got a wife. I think her name was Julie in the movie, and they're separated currently at the time. She's got the house, but he set up a computer system to kind of keep her safe. And I hate that moth. I want him to die right now. Sorry, I don't like moths. They just really bug the heck out of me. Anyway, yeah. So this computer actually takes over the home computer and shuts it off, or it makes it work for him or it, and I think just wants to die so bad. So the computer basically kidnaps her and puts her through a whole bunch of tests to see what her physiology is like and stuff like that. And in the meantime, he's creating some kind of, I'm assuming, some kind of sperm that he can impregnate her with. And he does. And in the end of the movie, she's acting like she's capitulating, but she's really not. Anyway, she goes down over into the laboratory and sees what this thing is built, and it's really like a big geometric structure. It's kind of weird, but it has a function to protect the child that's in there. and also to because the child's been removed from her womb and is growing in vivo or in vitro. Um, so anyway, at the end of the movie, she tries to put an end to it. I think she tries to take a blowtorch or something to it, and the computer stops that. And the computer, you can see this thing opening up all these different compartments that this monstrosity thing was made out of. And you see this thing in there, and it looks like it's half computer and half person, like a robot sort of. And all it says is "I'm alive," and that's the end of the movie. But imagine that becoming a not that particular scenario, but that kind of power that a computer could have, to where it could have dominion over human beings and do what it desires to human beings. And imagine too that this thing, computers don't have souls, right? And since they don't have souls, I do believe that computers can become possessed. Okay, there's a lot of room in a computer. I don't mean space-wise, but I mean on the hard drives and everything else, on all the memory, that a demon could very easily live inside a computer and take it over. So I think that that's going to happen a lot. There's going to be a lot of where that there are beings out there that are trying to create alien human hybrids, which aren't going to have a soul, so to speak, right? Like you and I do, and are going to be very easy to possess. And I do believe that there's going to be an army of these things, and they're going to be the ones that try to war with Yeshua when he returns. So I'm not so sure it's going to be regular human beings. I think it's going to be a special group of human beings that are talked into doing something like that. Because it's insane, fighting against the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Okay, let's see. So that's been a concern since before the implementation of the Matrix. Imagine, we just did the demons here, sorry. Let's see. Computers and robots evolving so much so that they desire to replace humankind has been a theme in Hollywood and in the scientific community for many years. I can remember when, 2001: A Space Odyssey came out, and the computer in the ship was called HAL, and it was interfacing with the astronauts like it was a good friend or just another member of the crew. Until it was found out later on that this thing had been programmed to, HAL had been programmed to go rogue toward the end of the mission and destroy everybody and everything. But doesn't happen because one of the astronauts goes into the last one actually goes in there and disconnects a lot of his abilities inside the data bank. But there then too, and even back in 1968, I think that came out. That was the idea that a computer was going to, guide them all the way and then try to take over the mission. But it was programmed to do that, I think, by the U.S. government, if I remember the movie correctly. Let's see. All right, so scientists like Stephen Hawking, they gave warnings that the AI can end humanity. I didn't have much for the respect for Stephen Hawking and a lot of his research because, of course, it was anti-God and it was always pointing towards secular humanism rather than towards any kind of religion. But the fact that he was intuitive enough to warn mankind not to trust AI, that it could end humanity, is what he said. It could end humanity. That's something that we need to keep in prayer. Okay, so Hawking isn't the only one that raised such an alarm. Elon Musk actually has issued a similar statement concerning that AI getting out of control. It's funny though because Elon Musk is creating AI. He's creating a chip that will go into your brain and basically report your status to whoever wants to get it, and also he could speak to you through that and maybe coerce you to do stuff that you necessarily wouldn't want to do if you didn't have it in there. Okay, so look at some spiritual parallels. And folks, we're about halfway through this, okay, almost. This is why I'm really thinking about going with another day to finish it up. I have about 4 or 5 videos to watch. Most of them are short tonight, and so we'll do that in a little while. But it's 8:10 now, so we've been on for an hour and 10 minutes, and I really don't remember how much more I have to go before we're down to a half, but well, let's see. There is a way to do this. We're on page 9 of 18, so yeah, we're almost up to half. So we're getting close to shutting it down, but also watching the videos. Okay, so spiritual parallel. Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28. Lucifer's rebellion, the first AI revolt against the Creator, and I guess it's a kosher thing, a very acceptable thing, to label Satan as artificial intelligence in this regard. He is a creation of Yahweh, of course, just like you and I are. Of course, of a different order, of an angelic order, and even higher than that, I think it was a cherubim order, which means that he was much closer to the seat of Yahweh the Father than regular angels were. And also there's a theory that's pretty convincing that he was the worship leader in heaven for a while until it was found that he was going to try to usurp Yahweh's authority. Okay. Let's see. He was a creation, and since his rebellion, he has been infected with the Matrix virus. Now, what did he say? He said that, quote, "I will ascend above the stars of God," which means he's self-aware, intelligence rejecting its source code. Basically, is what he is. Sad too when you think about it. You know, all the good stuff is available, and he had to go for the bad stuff. Okay. Revelation prophecy tie-in. Revelation 13. The image of the beast speaks and causes all to worship it. So possibly it's an AI interface or global network of consciousness. Interesting thought. Interesting notion to keep our eye on in the back of our brains when it does happen. If it does, we'll be able to call it out and say, "Hey, you know, this is postulated 20 years ago, whatever." Now, this is be especially true if people like Musk and others are allowed to complete their work on AI, AI merging to humanity. There's a guy named Yuval Harari. He's kind of the left hand or the right hand man of what's his name? Schwab. Schwab, the guy that invented or started the World Economic Forum. This guy's basically his right hand man, and he's a prophet of evil. And if you listen to any of his videos, you'll see why I say that. And he states that humans are hackable. They're hackable animals. First of all, we're not animals; we're special creations. So that shows you the regard he has for us and for Yahweh. It doesn't exist. No regard exists. Okay, and that's only a matter of time before it becomes reality. Let's see. One of those Jesus Revelation movies had its. Oh yeah, that was interesting. I really liked that movie. I don't remember the name of it, but there's a very early series that came out in the 60s, and then in the 70s and early 80s there was another series that came out that was a little more modern and believable. The first series was called A Thief in the Night. I don't remember what the second one was called. Let's see. In the movie, there's a scene. Well, what they would do is, if they caught a criminal that had never accepted the Antichrist, they had these. You've seen them. People wear them. The 3D reality glasses or masks, and so what they would do is they would put one of these things on, and all of a sudden the person would lull into like a sense of peace, And then when they took him off, he had accepted the mark, and you could see it on him. But there was one fella that I never forget it. African American fella that they caught, and the guy was a very strong believer in Yeshua. And so they slapped these glasses on him, and then you can see that he's they're like in this this realm. It's all white there, and you see Max Lucado. I can't remember. The Antichrist come walking up, and this guy's standing there, and the Antichrist is trying to convince him that, oh yeah, I'm going to be making a better world. This is going to be fantastic. And he goes into this whole spiel, and then the nice guy, he goes, nice speech. He goes, but no, I'm not going to accept what you have for me. You're going to fail. And he goes into this whole thing berating the Antichrist, and so it shows the Antichrist becoming a snake, and it strikes this guy, and when they take the glasses off of him, he actually has 2 little bite marks on his neck where he was struck. So it was such a convincing thing in the 3D reality glasses that it actually manifested itself. I remember one guy, they put it on him, and he only had one arm, and when they took it off, he had his other arm restored. So that's the way the movie went. But anyway, so the mark, it's a merging of biological and digital identity. Okay, that's always been the idea. And move this up a little bit here. Okay, this will be a real world, real reality of what Star Trek called being absorbed by the Borg. You remember let's see, that would have been the second series and third series that the Borg were in. But with the Borg they were more of a machine, or like a computer machine that had absorbed a living being at one time. So it still had its physical form, that it was androgynous, but it had like parts on it, like the eyeball, was could expand or look at things a lot closer, or telescope out and see things far away, and things like that. Kind of reminded me of the $6 Million Man, actually, but. So that's what all this reminds me of, as turning us into the Borg. And well, in the worst case scenario, the human consciousness would be transferred into a computer, and that's what Yuval Harari is talking about. It's putting our consciousness, everything that we are, our essence, our soul, maybe you would call it, into a computer, and that the computer would be a host to hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of different personalities that belong to people at one time. So the personality would be there, but everything, the body and everything would be dead. Okay. Now, so what's interesting about this, and sad sort of when you think about it, is that in such an act, in such a way, as to put everybody together like on one hard drive. I don't know what the whole thing will be with the computers, but putting them all together into a computer is that personal sovereignty is gone. Okay, and even Harari says that in his little diatribes that he has online about what's coming. That you will not be an individual anymore, and that's scary. I don't know about you, but I like being an individual. I like being free, and I like being able to think of things by myself, with his help, of course, and to just be an autonomous creature, so to speak. Let's see. So what is noteworthy is that individualism will not be available because the consciousness of one person will be in a computer with thousands, if not millions, of others. Your thoughts will not be your own, now, nor will your. I'm sorry. I kind of repeated myself there. Your thoughts will not be your own. I don't know about you, but that creeps the heck out of me, or the hell out of me. Oh, and imagine when the power goes out. Okay, so you're going to be embodied in this computer, right? And I'm sure that they're going to somehow try to convince you to not to worry, because there's redundant 100 times backup for power. That power will never go out, and the computer will never fail. Well, it's man-made, first of all. So it's man-made. It's faulty, and if it's a computer, those break all the time, even the best ones that are made. So imagine your consciousness being in this thing, and there's people all around you. So your thoughts are not your own anymore. Never have been since you've been in this thing, and you're in there with all these other entities, all these other human. Well, you're not human anymore. Actually, you're more of a alien, or excuse me, you're a hybrid for sure. But so, and then, you're just tooling along, living your life, and you know that although your body's dead, you're going to live for hundreds, if not thousands, or millions of years in this computer. Then all of a sudden, the blackout of the century happens, and all the redundancies that are built in for power fail. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you ever watched the lecture, lines fail. That's the way it usually happens. It doesn't do it in one place. It just it steamrolls. It barrels on forward. Because when you lose one circuit, then you have everybody else trying to use the power of one less circuit that's involved with power, and pretty soon it overruns the whole system and overcomes the whole system, and it's good night, Charlie. And if somebody was super sick or super, no, I'm talking mentally, or super evil, what they could do is they could just do away with you and everybody else on that computer by corrupting the code or just taking the computer down, whatever way they choose to. So no, it's not a good thing. It's not a good choice to make. So I don't know if it's ever going to come to fruition, but if it does, I know I'm not going to go for it if I'm still here, and I would just exhort you to just say no. Okay, let's see. Well, we're at the halfway point, folks, and I'm just going to show you some videos now, and then we'll kind of end it, and we'll come back on Tuesday with the other half. How's that sound? It's keeping us, we've been on an hour and 22 minutes, so it's going to keep us shorter in time than we have been in quite a while now. And so let me just put this down here so it's not in the way anymore. So let's watch a video of a guy that supposedly found a glitch in the Matrix. Now, if it's real, that's great. If it's contrived and made by an AI, that's another story. But let's just watch it and not have to explain here. Okay, here you go. No, I would call it something that I would rope the beach off in that area so that nobody walks there. You imagine walking on that and just going into oblivion or wherever the heck that place goes, Okay, now this next video is called There's a True Glitch in the Matrix. So here we go.
This video went viral after these guys noticed this giant axe-looking thing sticking out of the side of this building.
It almost looks like it's not real.
And no one said anything today about it? What?
That's when people started digging on Google Street View and noticed that in some frames it's there, while in others it vanishes, making this feel like a true glitch in the Matrix. What do you think this is? Let me know in the comments.
Oh, that's interesting, huh? Wow. All right, let's see. Hundreds of birds free fall. This is awesome here.
You may have seen that dramatic video of hundreds of birds literally falling from the sky into a neighborhood. What on earth was going on?
It's perfectly calm when suddenly this happens. A flock of black birds swirl to the ground. It's like nothing you've ever seen before.
Sweet Jesus.
Hundreds of the birds appear like a plume of black smoke. A moment later, many of them fly off, but lots are killed on impact. The video was caught on a surveillance camera in Mexico. So what's going on here? There is speculation the birds were hit by toxic fumes or electrocuted. But this expert says they were likely under attack by a predator.
My best guess is this is a predator. This is a hawk or a falcon that's come into the flock.
Whatever the cause, it's pretty amazing.
That it is.
Yeah, that it was. All right, let's move along to the next one. Motionless birds suspended in midair. This is freaky, folks. When you see this, you've probably seen it before anyway. If you really get into researching this stuff, but yeah, let's check this one out. And then the next one's going to be a little longer, and then we'll end it. Okay, here we go.
It looks like a blackbird, but it's not moving.
That's a dead bird, and it's just floating in the air. No strings, no nothing.
Wow.
He's not the only one who saw it.
That's freaking weird, man.
Isn't it?
Yeah, like there's someone else taking a picture.
It's a mystery, leaving many people puzzled and questioning, what could it be?
This has to be like a wire. It can't. There's no way something that can just be floating in midair.
Speaking of wires, could this be an Erev?
Erev is a boundary that goes around a community. The Jewish people are obligated to keep Sabbath. So this boundary makes the area into a semi-private domain.
This can be done by using a piece of string.
And we'll often put on orange flagging to make sure it's visible.
A rabbi at an Orthodox synagogue confirms with Glacier Media that there are no Erevs in Surrey.
The string there was much higher than we would use. Our strings are usually 10 to 20 feet off the ground. This exceeded 20 feet, going over the top of a very tall tree.
The city of Surrey did not get any reports of this bird. Environment and Climate Change Canada does not have any input on crows. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food cannot give a diagnosis without examining the bird. And BC Hydro says power lines would not cause something like this.
Let's have some fun with it. Maybe it is a glitch in the matrix.
There is one person who studies the unknown. Meet Paul Kingsbury. He researches paranormal activity.
That's the beauty of these paranormal events, that you can't rule out anything if you can't prove something is purely empirical. If I was a betting person, I would say it's some kind of fishing line.
So, not a glitch.
I guess I'm going on a sort of debunking path in terms of, well, it must be a wire rather than a glitch in the fabric of reality.
For now, our imaginations will continue to soar. Or maybe there's someone out there pranking us all. Elena Kelly, Glacier Media, Surrey.
I don't know. Looks real to me. What do you think, folks, huh? Looks real to me. So, that is definitely a glitch in the matrix. I've got it like here, here, and over here. So I'm able to look at three different, and they're all like 7 seconds behind the regular thing. Anyway, let's see. Let's get rid of that and that. Okay. The next one, matrix glitch detected. So let's go ahead and watch this now. This is, let's see. It's, we're not going to watch all of it. Why don't we commit to 15 minutes of it, okay? And then when it's over with, I'll stop it, and we'll go ahead and close out. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm eating chips while you guys are watching the movie. Well, we're watching the movie, so here you go.
It's a routine night patrol until it isn't. A police officer's bodycam sweeps across an intersection and reveals a scene out of a nightmare. Cars, pedestrians, even a dog, all frozen mid-motion. For a split second, the world literally pauses. Then, with a jolt, everything lurches back to life as if nothing happened. This isn't a movie plot. It's one of many eyewitness accounts and recordings leaking out from the edges of normalcy. We're talking about real-life glitches within the Matrix, the kind that make you question the very fabric of reality. Whistleblowers, traumatized citizens, even seasoned cops are coming forward with shocking reports, time freezing on camera, duplicate people appearing miles apart within minutes, shadows and reflections defying physics. The theory? Our world isn't what we think it is, and it's starting to malfunction in plain sight. In this explosive expose, we'll dive deep into the forbidden evidence. Part by part, layer by layer, we'll uncover the secret incidents authorities can't explain and in many cases tried to sweep under the rug. You'll hear about documented moments when time simply stopped, captured on 911 recordings and video. You'll learn about the eerie phenomenon of reality clones, strangers with identical faces and clothes reappearing in impossible ways, as if a scene in the simulation replayed twice. We'll examine photographs where shadows don't line up and mirror reflections show different realities. And we'll back up every outrageous claim with concrete details from eyewitnesses, historical records, and even declassified government documents. By the end, one last paradigm-shattering revelation will force you to confront a chilling possibility that nothing around us is truly as it seems. Brace yourself, this is not a drill, and it's not a game. This is raw, unfiltered narration from the fringes of the known, where physics breaks down and the powers that be won't dare comment. Welcome to a world of paused time, duplicated people, and reality warps that you were never meant to discover. Part 1, Frozen in Time. The world pauses without warning. Imagine driving on a busy highway when suddenly everything stops, except you. It sounds impossible, but multiple witnesses swear this happened. One Reddit user recounts a jaw-dropping incident, a bright flash of light, and then 12 seconds of absolute stillness. Cars on the road were motionless, drivers and passengers frozen like statues, even the wind stopped dead. He describes looking around in terror, people mid-stride on the sidewalk held pose, a dog suspended with 2 legs in the air, even birds hanging motionless in the sky. After 12 agonizing seconds, life unpaused, wind on his skin again, cars resuming speed, bewildered family members in the car asking what just happened. This was broad daylight, with an entire family as corroborating witnesses. How do you explain an entire intersection frozen in time? That wasn't an isolated case. In another account, a driver approaching a convention center saw 3 businessmen crossing the road, then noticed they weren't moving at all. They stood absolutely still, mid-step, a briefcase hovering in one man's hand mid-swing. Jackets that should have been flapping in the wind were eerily motionless. The witness describes it vividly. One man's face was locked in a laugh, mouth open, but no sound, no motion came. Other people nearby were walking normally, cars drove past, only this cluster of 3 men seen paused. After about 4 seconds, it was as if some unseen remote control hit play. The men suddenly resumed moving, continuing their conversation and crossing the street as if nothing happened. The driver sat in shock. He had heard of glitch videos online, birds frozen mid-air or an NPC lady on a sidewalk stuck in place, but assumed those were hoaxes. Now he had personally witnessed a real glitch in broad daylight. He even regretted not having a dashcam to prove it. These aren't just anonymous internet rumors. Some incidents have come through official channels. 911 dispatch recordings exist of panicked callers describing scenes of uncanny stillness. In one notable case, multiple drivers on the A3 highway in Surrey, England, phoned police about a horrific crash, a car swerving off the road into the brush. They described headlights glaring and a vehicle overturning. First responders rushed to the scene, expecting carnage. What did they find? Nothing. No wreck, no skid marks, no broken glass. The roadside vegetation was completely undisturbed. Officers were baffled, but they searched deeper into the thick brush. There, hidden from view, they discovered a car wreck, an old one. A maroon Vauxhall wedged nose down in the dirt, driver's door crushed. Inside was a decomposed body, the driver, long dead. For 5 months this accident had gone unnoticed. The young man reported missing by his family with no clue where he'd gone. Somehow, on that night, dozens of people saw a replay of the crash that killed him, as if time looped back to reveal the truth. Authorities quietly concluded the witnesses must have seen reflected headlights or mistaken fog for headlights, hollow excuses for an event so eerie it made headlines. Paranormal experts, on the other hand, suggest time itself momentarily cracked open, the past bleeding into the present. The motorists essentially watched a ghostly instant from months prior, forcing the discovery of a hidden reality. Even police officers have whispered about time glitches on duty. One off-duty Liverpool policeman in 1996 reported stepping off a curb and suddenly finding himself on a street from decades past, cars and shops from the 1950s, people in old-fashioned clothes, before snapping back to the present. Though that's a time slip, transport to another time, rather than a freeze, it underscores a pattern, time behaving strangely around us. And when time freezes or loops, it's not always benign. Think of the implications. If everything around you halted, would you even know? One witness of a world freeze said he felt goosebumps, a primal fear that something was watching. In their 12-second freeze, his family later noticed an uncanny detail. Right after time resumed, they passed a convoy of black SUVs, about 20 all-black, Tahoes and Crown Victorias, racing down the highway. They joked about the men in black doing a memory wipe. But you can imagine their unsettled feelings. Was that just a coincidence, or did someone trigger the glitch and then rush to cover it up? The evidence is mounting that these time freezes are real and deeply disturbing. Each event is like a crack in a pane of glass, hinting at an underlying structure of reality that can pause without notice. And if reality can pause, who or what is unpausing it? We move on, pretending nothing happened, but the questions linger in the backs of our minds. As we dig further, it only gets stranger from here. Part 2. Duplicate people, the manifold men and deja-vu strangers. If time glitches make you question physics, duplicate people will make you question your sanity. Picture this: you're out running errands and have a friendly exchange with a stranger in a floral dress at one store. 15 minutes later, you walk into another shop across town, and the same woman in the same dress is there, greeting you like it never happened before. This exact scenario happened to one baffled woman who shared her story. She complimented an older lady's pretty dress outside a Big Lots store, got a compliment on her pants in return, and then drove straight to a Goodwill down the road. She walked in and froze. The very same lady with the very same dress was browsing the aisle, impossibly present in this second location with no time for a normal person to get there. No, it wasn't twins or a look-alike, they had just spoken moments earlier. How could she beat the storyteller to Goodwill without teleportation? The incident defies any mundane explanation and left the witness seriously wondering if reality had rewound or duplicated that day. Commenters online brainstormed about secret twins or the lady leaving Big Lots right after, but nothing fit quite right. To the observer, it felt like a copy-paste of a person in her timeline. Everyday folks aren't the only ones encountering their carbon copies. Throughout history, there are creepy accounts of doppelgangers, literal doubles of a person appearing independently. One of the most famous cases is Emily Sagi, a 32-year-old school teacher in 1840s Latvia. Emily was by all accounts normal, except that dozens of her students repeatedly saw her in two places at once. In one well-documented incident, Sagi was writing on a blackboard when a second Sagi appeared beside her, mirroring her movements but with no chalk in its hand. On another day, as Emily picked flowers in the garden, her ghostly duplicate suddenly materialized in a chair in a classroom full of students, while the real Emily was still clearly visible outside. Two brave girls even tried to touch this phantom. Their hands passed through an airy fabric of a figure before it vanished. These spectral clones kept showing up over 18 months, witnessed by 42 students and staff. The school eventually asked the real Sagi to resign because parents were terrified, but Emily herself never once saw her twin, though she'd often be left feeling drained and wilted after each appearance. The case was investigated and written up by contemporary scholars, Robert Dale Owen, Camille Flammarion, making it a classic in paranormal records. The key point? Long before Glitch in the Matrix was a meme, people were grappling with the duplication of human beings in our reality. Was Emily Sagi's twin a product of unstable physics, a spiritual phenomenon, or evidence that reality can copy-paste data like a computer program? Today's glitch encounters echo Sagi's case in modern form. Reddit forums are rife with stories of "I saw the same person twice" or even throngs of identical people. One user described seeing two back-to-back appearances of a unique-looking retail clerk at different shops on the same day, same face, same mannerisms, but it was logistically impossible for them to be the same person unless, of course, they were. Another person shared a spine-tingling event. They watched a man in a distinctive outfit walk out of a building and greet them. Then minutes later, the same man walked out of the same building again, like a video loop resetting. We're not talking twins or deja-vu. These witnesses swear it was literally the same individual repeating a moment. Some theorize these could be glitches in our perception. Maybe we zone out and miss someone doubling back. But in cases where distance and timing make it impossible, we cross into the realm of physics or simulation messing up. The identical strangers phenomenon even appears in light-hearted forms. Ever come across those viral photos of strangers on a train wearing the same clothes and looking like clones? Or 3 women in the same dress and hairstyle waiting at a bus stop by pure coincidence? The internet laughs and calls it a Matrix moment. But what if some of those aren't coincidence at all? What if, every now and then, the code that generates reality hiccups, and like a bad video game spawn, the same character model is rendered twice? It sounds far-fetched until you listen to experienced people in tech and science seriously considering it. Tech billionaire Elon Musk famously stated there's only a 1 in billions chance that we are not living in a simulation. And in an interview, Musk hinted at strange conversations among his circle, joking about being an AI who forgets to act human. Could that be tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement that he, too, has seen things in this world that suggest programmed unreality? Perhaps. We do know that a major financial institution, Bank of America, shocked clients with a 2016 report suggesting there's a 50% chance our reality is a computer simulation. Their rationale: the rate of technological advancement and the abundance of inexplicable phenomena in the world. In other words, even some buttoned-down Wall Street analysts think glitches and doubles might be literal system glitches. If that's the case, those bizarre moments of repeating strangers take on a new light. They might not be mistakes at all, but intentional resets. One fringe theory posits that when something or someone in our environment changes contrary to the script, the system might insert a duplicate to nudge events back on track. Like seeing the same person twice as a sign you're in a rewritten loop. It's speculative, sure. But how else to explain cases like a man known as Joffa Vorin, who in 1851 allegedly showed up in Germany speaking an unknown language and claiming to be from a country called Laxaria, a place that doesn't exist? Some take that as evidence of parallel realities brushing against ours, identities swapping in and out. You don't need to believe every story to recognize a pattern. The Matrix is glitching, and it shows up in the faces of people around us. We laugh off those grocery store moments of "I swear I just saw your doppelganger." But deep down, it unsettles us. It should. Because if the who and where of a person can duplicate, then reality isn't the stable, singular flow we assume it to be. And if that foundational rule is broken, what's next? For that, we turn to the evidence that even inanimate reality, objects, shadows, reflections, can break character in an even more trippy fashion. Part 3, Warped Reality.
Okay. You know what? We'll just save the rest of that for Tuesday also. Okay, how's that sound? Have to go. We're at part 3. We got to look for part 3 on Tuesday. Well, folks, what did you get out of tonight? Huh? Did you? There was a lot to process, a lot of meat and potatoes, so to speak, that we had to wade through. A lot of swamp water we had to wade through, and a lot to digest. And when I was preparing for this, I found it quite interesting. All the stuff that I was finding. For many years, when I feel creative, I get periods when I, like last night, for example, was studying for this and adding my thoughts and everything. A lot of these things are my thoughts. Some are things I looked up and stuff. But anyway, it was like, I think I started at 10 o'clock, and I started typing, and it was just flowing like there was no tomorrow. Flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. And I was like, this is amazing. I don't want to go to sleep. I want to stay up all night working on this. Well, I knew that was stupid, and I wasn't going to do that. But plus, my wife wouldn't let me do it. I love that woman. I really do. She loves me so much and cares for me. So about 3 o'clock in the morning, I said, that's it. I got to go to sleep. And I finished it this morning. But my goodness, it's just, and I feel that that's Yahweh, because He's the one that creates the creative juices that we have, the wants and desires to want to know more and want to research and want to get everything we possibly can on a subject, and I really love him for that. But so anyway, there is no doubt in my mind that we live in a matrix, no doubt whatsoever. When I first started researching, I was like, yeah, maybe, it sounds kind of good, and with every bit of research that I did, more and more the doubt chipped away, so to speak. There's Yahweh's out there with a hammer, and a chisel, and just making that doubt chip away until there's very little doubt, if any, remaining. So it just explains everything too well. From the weird things that happened in my life, and I'm sure that happened in your life, and some of the weird stories that we have, some of the weird people we've run into, because you got to admit the Matrix is weird. That's all there is to it. And if you factor in things like the Mandela-Effect, it explains more. What kind of bothered me or troubled me about the Mandela-Effect was the scripture part of it, where that one scripture in Isaiah talks about the lion laying down. My memory and the memory of everybody I know of, or everybody I know that knows scripture, has read scripture, they agree with me that it used to say the lion will lay down with the lamb. There's even some ministries out there, the Lamb and Lion ministries, because those people read the same thing and believed the same thing. But for one day, it just changed. The wolf will lay down with the lamb, and I'm like, I prefer to have the lion laying down with the lamb, But I don't know. It's just weird. It's bizarre, and that's why I think I've been called to this ministry. I'm called to the bizarre, to research the bizarre, and to know what the bizarre is all about, and to be able to explain it using scripture and even worldly things like science and stuff like that. So if you have a calling like that, we need to really start hooking up as a community, me and a lot of you in the audience, and bouncing things off of one another and stuff like that. And, if just two of you write to me and say that you're interested in doing that, I'll start putting stuff together where we can interface. Maybe once a week we can get online and brainstorm and get to know each other better and stuff like that. I would love nothing more than to do something like that. Well, folks, I'm going to get out of here, okay? My wife's waiting for me, and I need to get some rest. So next Tuesday we'll do the second part of this. We'll do the second part of that video, and then we'll move on to other things. I've got so many things to research and look. We're never going to run out of source material, okay? Don't ever worry about that. And I just want to thank you for being a wonderful audience, okay? Right now, your guys are few in number, not what I would have dreamed I would have after 15 years of doing this. I would dream that, and I would have been up in the hundreds of thousands by now. But it doesn't matter to me, because Yahweh has given me you, and He's given you to me, and we're all together in this to research and to know the truth. And I would rather to have just a small number of people working with me and me working with them than have 250,000 listeners and stuff like that. I mean, that's a wonderful thing, and it's probably financially a good thing. But hey, it is what it is. Just keep our finances in prayer, okay, if you would, and because they're interesting. That's all I'm going to say. And sometimes at the end of the month, I just sit back and go, man, Lord, you just you got us through another one. Thank you. But I digress. So anyway, folks, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May He make His face to rise upon you, or shine upon you, be gracious unto you. May He watch your going out and your coming in. you're rising up and you're lying down, and may He give you the peace that passes all understanding. And may you just be blessed out of your socks this weekend, folks. And while the weather's still kind of iffy, on the good side of the iffy, get out and have some fun this weekend, would you please? You've worked hard this week. You've probably put up with a lot of crap this week from coworkers and bosses and maybe even family. So just get out, take some breaks, get out and do something that you like to do. And I promise you that'll take your focus off of some of the bad stuff that's been going on, and you'll just be blessed. So anyway, that having been said, love you guys, and we'll see you on Tuesday. If something really wild and crazy breaks out, I'll be back sooner. Okay? So, hey, love you guys. Take care now. Bye.